Hello everyone and welcome to this very special conversation. Demand, democracy and demography. These are the three pillars on which Viksit Bharat foundations will be laid. That's what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said as she went on to announce key relief for the middle class. With me is Union Minister Hardeep Puri to share his views on this budget. Mr. Puri, let me begin with the big question. Do you think this relief that the government has offered will address and boost the consumption that you're hoping for?
Most certainly, most certainly. If you raise the limit, exemption limit from 7 lakhs to 12 lakhs, it's not only helpful to individuals, but you have several taxpayers, I'm not going to numbers, even in a household, they're all filing individual income tax returns. But more than that, this is a development budget which will lay a very solid step in the achievement of Viksit Bharat. Now, I want to start by congratulating the Honorable Finance Minister. She talked about democracy, development, demography, etc. Look, 1.4 billion people, if you look at their demands as belonging to different sections, this is a fantastic budget. It has something in it for everybody. You started talking about the middle class because in the last few months, madam, there has been an attempt to say that whilst the government is doing exceptionally well, to reach out to the farthest first, those who are most needy of, handouts like the 3 meals of dry ration in a day given to the during the pandemic, which is continuing. But the middle class, which are the bulk of the taxpayers, not getting on me. I am very, very happy to see that that lie has been called. From 7 lakh, it has gone up to 12 lakh. And if you're a salaried person, effectively 12 lakh to 75,000 is your relief. But everywhere else, agriculture, startups, you look at energy, you look at nuclear energy, you look at the shipping sector, you look at the private sector R&D, top 50 tourist destination, Heal India. Rationalization of customs duty. I think this budget, look, I've been around for a long time. I've seen several other budgets before this. 8 budgets
Finance Minister.
of
Yes.
Nirmala Sitharaman, but I've seen budgets by earlier finance minister. Budget making by itself is a complicated exercise. And the context for budget making also assumes an importance. You've got political direction of inclusive growth, propelling the economy forward. There are those cynics who say that with a 6.5 or a 6.8% growth, you cannot become Viksit Bharat by a certain day. But this will actually boost the growth rate because you have a situation today where consumption increase. And this is where the middle class comes in. This is where the other sectors come in. Agriculture, there's enough in it for agriculture, pulses. And I'll tell you something, one of the things you have to be very careful about is that it's not that you've taken something away from someone and given to that. This increase in spending, which is going to come from the middle class, and the middle class is large, all right? Which also there was some criticism that, middle class is not fully on, they are on board. In fact, if you look at the BJP's, this thing is not meant for the party. I think one of the very nice statements that PM made in the statement in the session that we had with him prior to the adjourning, there are things which are done for the overall country's interest, not for an individual group or a region.
Middle class is the buzzword certainly, because keeping in mind the Delhi elections, but sir...
No, middle class is the buzzword for the whole year.
Okay.
Delhi elections will be over in two days time or 4 days time, but we are winning that in any case.
Okay. But does it cover the middle class, the entire arc of middle class, or will you say that this is largely focused on the lower middle class?
I would not be tempted to fall into a categorization of whether this is. I'll tell you why it's overall. The Finance Commission, the Pay Commission has been established. The Pay Commission, and I've been a civil servant for 39 years, every time there's a Pay Commission established, the hike which comes even at the basic category is massive, massive. I look back to my own time. I started with my first salary in a teaching job at 400 rupees a month. My first salary in the IA, Foreign Service, was also 400 rupees, basic a month. अभी कहाँ तक बेसिक पड़ रही है और जब पे कमीशन की recommendations आएंगे, it's a massive increase which goes in. Government servants are actually very well paid, I mean by relative standards. This one applies across. It's not just for lower middle class. Let me explain why. The amount of relief you get as a result of, if your income is 12 lakhs, you have no income tax payable. Earlier, if you had little over 7 lakhs, a certain tax rate kicked in. Now, if you've seen the slabs also revised, if you earn 20 lakhs, you've got so much saving. If you earn 24 lakhs, so much saving. All those computations are available, and I think as the budget sinks in, because there are stuff in this for the health sector, the number of drugs which are being added to the list of no basic custom duty, cancer-saving drugs, so many things. So I think it's a very well thought through, very clearly result-oriented budget.
So you're of the opinion that the demand side problem of the economy will be addressed?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the criticism, we only look at the supply side. Nahi bhai, we look at all of it. Budgets are not made in isolation. Budgets are part of an evolving development narrative. And that development narrative is itself conditioned by the Viksit Bharat Sankalp. And I think in the last few years, somebody told me just now, how did you manage to do this? What about the capex? No, capex has also gone up. I think what happened is there was 30% increase in capex in repeatedly in the last few years. We had a target of 11 lakh crores from what I remember. Expenditure has been, I think, 10 lakh crores plus. We set aside another 11.21 lakh crores. It's just a few minutes ago, so I'm still soaking in the numbers. But these are very impressive figures.
The opposition says that, of course, keeping in mind the Bihar elections which come later this year, there has been a lot of focus on the state. I'm happy about it. It's my state. But that's political calculation, certainly?
One minute. The budget is for the entire nation.
Yes.
It so happened that there are elections in Bihar. Now they're talking about some airport upgradation. Okay, I saw for Bihar.
Yes, there is.
Beta Airport also. But that's been going on throughout the country. It so happens today that there's an election in Bihar. And what I'm so happy about, look, Bihar needs additional development, whether it's during an election year or otherwise. Now, Makhana, I'm such a fan of Makhana. So, for the Mithila region, there is stuff. The country needs it. Also, just remember, the number of airports which have been built or made reusable has doubled from 2014 to now. We had 74 airports, now we have 150. The Udan scheme, by the way, Bihar is a great beneficiary. When we started flights from Darbhanga, it used to be zero air traffic, shot up. We didn't even need to give viability gap funding. Today we are in a situation, air traffic all over is becoming big. Why should Bihar not benefit from it? It just so happens that there's an election this year.
But that is coalition compulsion as well?
No, not at all. It is the fact that the Honorable Prime Minister is wedded to the development, the Viksit Bharat mantra. And if you've got to have developed, see how well UP is done. I'm sure that now with stable and progressive, sensible governments in Bihar, Bihar will also lift up.
One criticism which is coming in from opposition, Mr. Puri, is that there is no major incentive which has been announced to attract FDI particularly and strengthen India's global competitiveness.
Wait a minute. How can they make this statement? Look at the insurance sector. The FDI limit has been raised from 74% to 100%. But tell them to read the budget. Tell them to read the annexes, read the fine print. I can tell you, even those of us who have been working on this to prepare ourselves for inquisition by you, even you're soaking it in. It's just less than an hour or two before the announcements were made. And let me assure you, this budget has been not only welcomed in India, it will be welcomed outside. What are the people outside India looking at? They are looking at the India growth story. Okay, if India grows, one market which has a tremendous consumption capacity. There are big markets in the world, larger economies than India, where things are quiet. They are either growth is at 1 or 2%. If you are growing at, say, 6.5 or 6.8%, you are also creating demand for goods and services outside. After all, 50% of your GDP is in the external sector. And that GDP, which is in the external sector, we want to see growth outside. The outside world wants to see growth here. And at the end of the day, you can say around that, oh, maybe the trends here are now working against globalization. But till we are able to navigate the current turbulence, it's very much an integrated globalized economy.
So is there an unrealistic growth projection?
No, not at all. I think both the fiscal deficit and the growth projections are very realistic. And I think if you are wanting to, and we are wanting now to raise from 6.5, 6.8 to go ultimately towards 8%, it's a very realistic projection.
What about the global headwinds? Is the budget...
Now, you and I can't sit and navigate the global headwind.
You have, President in Donald Trump who every next day makes an announcement which will have a huge impact on India as well. The tariff announcements, of course, you would understand that better.
With my experience of working in the United States, working in the multilateral system, both in New York and Geneva, I would say never be hasty in anticipating what is likely to come. Take these steps at a time and prepare for them. I personally believe the news from the Middle East so far has been good. You've got peace there. I look at the signs, I look at the statement of the incoming Energy Secretary in terms of what is in store in the Russia-Ukraine front. And I hope that conflict also winds down. I am very much encouraged by the by President Trump's statement that he wants to see global energy prices come down. He's talking about more energy being made available. So you look at this news, and whatever happens on the tariff front, it's in an integrated world. Some people impose tariffs, some will take countermeasures. Whatever happens, let's not anticipate and be apprehensive about something which we don't even know what the shape of things is.
Okay, your final thought on the budget.
Excellent.
And then we wrap up this discussion.
Excellent budget. It is fulfilling a demand for impetus to growth, taking us in the direction of Viksit Bharat. But more than that, all my friends in the opposition, please look for a new issue. Middle class neglected, middle class ko bhi mil gaya. Now, all the measures are not announced in the budget. I mean, the pay commission was announced before that. The critical minerals mission was announced, adopted by the cabinet. So you looked at the totality of things. I said, all in all, an excellent budget.
Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV, sir.